Let me show you how to use graph to find the solution of an equation. Okay, so normally when you see an equation, right, we are going to do algebra like factors and other techniques to find out what x equals to. But in this video, I'm going to show you how to use graph to find what x equals to. So the app that I am using is called Desmos. Do you see right on top? I don't have a cursor right over here because I am not using Notability to make this video. So I use Desmos. So Desmos. This app is completely free. You can download this on App Store or the Play Store, absolutely free. If you don't have an iPad or tablet, you can go to your computer, just go to Google, just look for Desmos. You can do all the works on your computer. All right. So if this is your first time using Desmos, let me tell you a few things. First of all, Desmos is pretty easy to use. Everything is very straightforward. So using Desmos is easy, but when you read the problem from a book or online and you want to carry the problem over to Desmos and then get the right graph, that requires you some attention. Okay, so I'm trying to be very clear in this video and I will go over like a little slower than usual. Okay, let's get started. So on the right hand side of the screen, do you see that I have 4 lines? So starting with the first line, I have x to the third plus 4x squared minus 11x equals to 30. I am not using Notability right now, so I cannot use a cursor to point out where I am pointing at. So now what I want you to look at is on the left hand side of the screen, the first line, x to the third plus 4x squared minus 11x equals to 30. When you take a problem from a textbook, usually the problem is written like this. They will say solve the equation graphically, or find the solution using graphs, and then they will give you an equation that looks like this. So it is an equation left hand side equals to right hand side. But should you just put this on Desmos? The answer is absolutely no. Don't just put this on Desmos. So the first thing that I would like you to see is, all right, so you get this from a book, and then listen, I want you to move all the terms to the left hand side and then let the right hand side equals to 0. So that will be line 2. And then do you see this? Line 1 is the red graphs. So if I open line 2, line 1 and line 2, they are exactly the same, right? So we have the purple on top of the red. So that means if you input line 1 or line 2 to Desmos, they are exactly the same. Now, should we just proceed to do this? The answer is no. Don't do this. I don't want you to type the equals to 0. So don't do line 1 and line 2 is just what you see on the book. Can you write this on your notes? Line 1 and line 2, on a textbook, they usually write the problem like this. So they give you a problem. Usually the problem is written like this. And then you have to do some work before you put that on Desmos. So the work that you have to do is, I want you to put all the terms on the left hand side of the parenthesis of the equal, and then on the right hand side, don't put anything in there. The right hand side is just equals to 0. All right, and then you just put that on your Desmos. Do you see this? So once I open the third line, do you see that the graph is a little bit different, right? So once I open the third line, the graph is a little bit different. Do we still need line 1 and line 2? The answer is no, we don't need that anymore. That is what we read from a book. So we just have to do a little bit of work and then transfer that over to my Desmos. Okay, so here is my equation, x to the third plus 4x minus 11x equals to 30. This is the same thing as saying y equals to this. Just like when you study linear equation, sketch the graph of y equals to x plus 1. Just like that, y equal. What if you don't input y equal? So if you don't input y equal, they will assume that this is a y equal if you do not put any y equals in there. And then how about line 4? Line 4, do you see this? Line 4. Do you see that? Line 4 is the factor form of line 3. Don't worry about how to factor that. I use the factor form for a reason. So is line 3 the same thing as line 4? The answer is absolutely yes. They are exactly the same. Do you see that? Once I open the purple graph, the purple is right on top of the blue graphs. Okay, so you either use the factor form or you use line 3. Usually they won't give you the factor form because that is too easy. For the factor form, if you let that equals to 0, do you see that line 4? When you let that equals to 0 using 0 product property, x is equals to -5, -2, and +3 as what you see on the graph. Just tap on it. Okay, so don't use line 4, use line 3. I just want to show you a factor form, so you can see why is the solution equals to -5, -2, and +3. Okay, so you have the factor form. Okay, then what is the solution? So the solution is assume that is equals to 0, right? Do you still do you take a look at line 2? Do you see that there is a 0? That's why I don't delete that. I don't delete the equals to 0. That's why I show you 4 lines. So this is equals to 0. So x equals to what? Such that the left hand side is equals to 0. The answer is when x is equals to -5, -2, and +3, the right hand side is equals to 0. Okay, so the solution is -5, -2, and +3. So what else do you need to know? So on the Desmos, do you see that on the right hand side? On the right hand side, you see a gear, a zoom out, a zoom in, and a home. So if you tap on the gear, not a gear, that is like a wrench, whatever that is, you can modify the graph a little bit. So for the display, you can make the number bigger or smaller, right? And then for the grid, you can choose the XY coordinate. This one you are not going to need this yet. This is the polar coordinate. You don't need this right now. Okay, and then the x-axis and the y-axis, the add a label. Add a label means you can name that whatever you want. You can usually we call that x-axis, right? But if you can call that a time, distance, that would be fine. And then I want you to look at the step. Do you see that the step on the right hand side? So the step, I want each grid equals to 1 unit on both the x and the y axis. Step is 1 and 1 on x and y axis, and then you just hit anywhere you like. So now do you see that the box, the square, they go 1 unit at a time. If you don't do this, they will just go 2 units at a time. Okay, so this is the entire graph. You can zoom out. So that is the entire graph. The graph is going up and down and then up. And then what is the solution? The solution is the x-intercept. 1 at -5, 1 at -2, and 1 at +3. So if you zoom in, you can see, tap on it, -5, -2, and +3. And then what else do you need to know? Okay, now go back to the left hand side. On top of the first line, do you see that there is a gear right here? The gear. I can't use my pointer, but there is a gear. You see that once you hit the gear, they let you do some modification. And then if you just tap on line 3, they will just give you do you want make the line bold? So if you want to make the line bold, you can type a higher value, 5. You can choose a solid line, a dashed line, a dotted line. You can even choose the color. You can use any color you like. All right, and then you can just tap on this to find the x-intercept, and the x-intercept. What else can you find? You can also find this. Let me change this back to a solid line. So do you see that just this graph looks like a roller coaster? So this point, when you go all the way up, you reach to the top of the mountain. That is the coordinate. And then how about the bottom? The bottom, if you go all the way down, you can see that the y-intercept is over here. And then the graph will just jump all the way to the bottom of the hill and then go back up. So this point, they will tell you exactly what it is. And then other than that, you can look at the table value. So if you want to look at the table value, hit the gear icon again. And then do you see that there is a table? A table, and then there is 2 pieces of paper. The 2 pieces of paper is a duplicate. Okay, so you can just get rid of that, the table. So once you hit on the table, this is a table value when x is equals to -2, y is equals to 0. When x is equals to 1, y is equals to -16. When x is 0, y is equals to -30. So you can just keep on using the different x values, like 2.5. They will tell you exactly what y equals to. And then if you take a look at the graph, when x is equals to -2, y is equals to 0, they will show you this point, x equals to -1, that is right over here, x equals to 0, x equals to 1, and then x equals to 2, and then x equals to 2.5. You can just keep on going. Like the next line, 3.25, they will tell you y is equals to that. So when you look at x equals to 3, that point is right over here. So if you zoom out, you can just get all the points. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You can get points like that. So it's pretty convenient. All right, so that is the end of this video. But before I close my video, what is the solution of this equation? I want to answer the question one more time. The solution of the equation is right here. -5, -2, and positive 3. X equals to -5, -2, and positive 3. The solution, when they ask you to find the solution or solve this equation, they mean the other side equals to 0. The other side is equals to 0. So when x equals to those three numbers, y is equals to 0, or the other side is equals to 0. So when they ask you to solve the equation, they are simply asking for the location of the x-intercept. All right, and then sometimes they do this. Sometimes they say, okay, I want to find a solution within an interval. Find the solution within an interval. So let's say I have this solution. I only want my solution within 0 to 5, past 0 to positive 5. Then there is only one solution. If they say, okay, give me the solution that is between 0 and -6, then you have two solutions. If they provide you an interval, that means they are only interested within that interval. Alright, so that is the end of this video. If you like this type of video, give my video a thumbs up. If this is something you want to see, subscribe to my channel for more videos like that. As always, I will meet you all in the next lesson.